All right, what's going on, everybody? So we're back on the wagon today. It's raining quite a bit, but that's not going to stop us. Today we need to address the ABS issue. So I need to mount the ABS proportioning valve, or ABS delete proportioning valve, up to this guy right here. I bought this bracket, but the bracket is made for some other kind of car, so it puts the proportioning valve in between here, and that's not going to work. So I chopped this in half. I got it cleaned up. I'm gonna re-weld it so that this will go up under here like so, and then it should mount down here like that. So it's gonna be kind of weird because the weld nuts are gonna be on the wrong side, but it should still work. I don't really want to drill off the weld nuts and re-weld them on. I mean, I guess I could, or just cut them off and use, a bolt and a nut. But this is a proportioning valve here, so this should just kind of sit in there. But as you can see, it's way too big to fit down there next to the strut tower. So these lines are not going to work. I'll reuse the fittings and probably make my own lines. But yeah, I need to do this before I can make all the brake lines, because I need to know where they're going to. So yeah, let's jump on the welder and see if I can weld this. Not a very good welder, but I'm going to give it a shot. Alright, well, that didn't go super well. It kind of looks like shit, but I'm a shit welder, so it is what it is. It should work anyway. This side didn't turn out too bad. This other side, I could not get the gas coverage right. Like, it was just going in all different directions. But I'm really new to this stuff, so I think it's all right. I could probably grind it off and make it look a little bit better. I ground this side off just because it was pretty terrible, but it's straight. It should be able to mount it, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit more and put some paint on it. You won't be able to tell, but it is what it is. Alright, so instead of watching paint dry, I'm going to see if I can install this. This is something that's super valuable to us guys in the States. This is the Coolant Overflow tank from like a Liberty RS from Australia. So what's cool about these is they actually bolt inside the fender. The little bolts come through right here by the battery, and it mounts inside there, and then all you have is a little filler neck up in here. So I put one of these on the blue car, and this is like what makes it possible to do a front mount, because otherwise you have that giant bottle right here, you just can't do it. So it just kind of goes up in here, and it goes through that little hole right there. So I'm gonna see if I can get this guy put in there. All right, there we go. So it just bolts on right here. It's got a little bracket that comes through. See, your coolant tank's nice and tucked away, out of sight, so it frees up all this room for intercooler piping and stuff like that right next to the battery. So awesome. That's another big piece off the checklist. And let's go check out that paint, see if we can get that bracket on. Alright, it's got the bracket on there. This guy should sit something like that. I'll find the bolts here and we'll actually get it bolted on. It'd be nice if it could fit under here. That would actually be pretty sweet. It might fit, actually. That's not a bad idea. Let me grab the bolts and we'll do some test fitting. Okay, this was not the plan, but this worked out way better. The proportioning valve just tucks up under here. I still got room for the level sensor right here. You can still fully adjust it with the knob. I was gonna have to remake these lines anyway. These are like the lines it came with, which my ports are, I think these are made to go with the Willwood Master also, but I'm just using a stock one, so I'll just rebend up some new lines. I got all the tools to make new flare fittings, but I think I'm gonna reuse these because these are actually correct. But yeah, this one's just gonna have to connect to that one over here, and this front one's gonna connect to there. And then I just need to connect my brake lines to the ones here on the bottom. So rear output comes out of here, and these are each front. So the rear is gonna have to come out, go across, and we're gonna set up a T. So I don't know if I'm gonna rebend these, maybe put them across, or figure out something clean to do those. But there'll just be a T to connect those together to one line. That'll go to the rear output there. So then I can just dial in how much pressure goes to the rear. And it's super nice and tucked away. Yeah, could have done that better if I planned it that way. So it's looking awesome. All right, so I was starting to mock up some lines. I was trying to like make one for this to basically connect there, but the flaring tool that I got is total fucking garbage. It doesn't work at all. So I don't know if I'm just doing it wrong, but it's a cheap piece of shit. I figured, you know, it would make a couple brake lines and be fine, but no, this is not acceptable. So yeah, I'm gonna buy a better tool, and the brake lines are gonna have to wait, I think. This is all the bulk line I got, so I got plenty. This stuff's cheap, it's really high quality, so I can just, you know, I can bend it by hand and it comes out pretty good. But I need a good flaring tool. That's not gonna work, so I have to find something else to work on. Okay, well, I can start working on the steering rack. So I picked up some white line steering rack bushings. These are really easy. These are for like the 07 style newer STI racks. They pretty much got these bushing inserts right here, and they provide you with a little tool. Basically pull the old ones out, which is the bolt. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And the other one is just regular old rubber style. So let's do that real quick. All right, let's see. All right, make sure to grease everything. White line supplies its own grease, so look like all on there. Should be ready to go. So now I just need to grab my tie rod tool from work, because I got all new tie rods inside and out. And then we can put the rack in. One thing I didn't talk about before is to make this thing work, you need one of these. So this is what makes this whole thing possible. This is basically like a GC8 steering column end welded onto a GD STI steering column end, because these splines are different on the new rack. So you need one of these. This is about 170 bucks or something like that. On I think it's L&E Fabrications makes these. Obviously you can make your own. You can just weld the two together like this, but the length has to be exactly right. So I just went ahead and bought one. So this will adapt the GD STI rack to my Legacy steering column, because Legacies and GC8 and Prezas are the same. So I'm very happy to have that. And so with this combo, it should go right in the car. All right, so I'm underneath the car down here, just putting the steering rack in. I somewhat lined up the steering shaft here. It's this is the adapter one, so slid right on there nicely. You got to unbolt the rack to get it down back onto here. So I might have to unbolt this again, you know, to make sure the rack is centered. But for now, I'm just going to bolt it in and make it a lot easier to change the tie rods, inner and outers, and the boots, and get to all that stuff. So I got the nice bushings in there, the white line stuff. So yeah, it's looking good. I'm going to torque these down to 45 foot-pounds. Well, when it's in there for the final time, I'll do that, but it's looking great. All right, there it is. So this is a little tricky, because this one can only go on in one spot, so you got to put it on here first, drop the rack down, then get this one to go on once you center the rack. But I'm gonna have to redo it anyway, so I just wanted to hook it up, have it something there for now, so now I can put my tie rods on. It came with one, but I got all new ones, so with it on here, it makes it a whole lot easier to swap tie rods ends. So we'll get that on there, and then we'll have some steering capabilities. I got a new under tray for the jack plate and all that. So yeah, one step at a time. All right, so it's time to throw in the rear coilovers. So these are the Tanes, I think they're Flex Zs. Yep, Tane Flex Z. These are for a GD STI, because I think the knuckles and everything are different. I know there are, at least in the front. So I think the spacing between these is different. So it's easier just to buy GD coilovers, because it'll also have the brake brackets in the right spot. And I switched over the top hats, so I got a set of Tane GC8 top hats, and so I just took these to work and compressed the spring and popped this guy on there. So now these should bolt in just like stock and use the STI knuckle. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these in there. So this is the current state of the back of the car. Got the dash in there. So it's just been a pile of parts. I'm trying to keep all the parts for the car in the car. But we just got to pop out these speakers. So some 10mm bolts just to get some room. And then underneath here, your strut tops. So take those 12s off and then they should drop out the bottom. All right, stock ones are out. Let's see up in there. I kind of tried to, paint it a little bit. It's got all this underbody coating on here, which is nice. So now we'll get the new ones in. Probably gonna need some help to hold them up while I put the bolts in, but. All right, got those thrown in there. Let's see this side. We got the little adjustment knob on the top. So they should tuck away under there, put the speaker back. I won't be able to adjust them unless I take these covers off, but that's no big deal. Let's see. Yeah, looking pretty good. So next I'm going to start working on the diff, I think. Get the diff in there. And I want to clean that thing up. I got to swap over the drive shaft flange because I'm using the Legacy automatic drive shaft. So you just got to swap over the flange and it's the right length, because the autos are the same length as the 6-speed, so I can just use the original drive shaft that was in this thing, at least until it breaks, and then I might upgrade. But that's going to be for tomorrow probably. But yeah, made some good progress. Alright, so I want to put this diff in, but before I do that, I got these bushings. These are polyurethane bushings for first gen. So we just took this out of the car. I just painted it because it got some bare metal in there. But we used an air hammer, knocked out the old bushings. And these guys will just slide right in. But before we do that, I need to knock this nut off and pull this flange because I'm using the first gen drive shaft. So we got to change this this flange here to the first gen one, and then we can put it in. But might clean it up a little bit first too. All right, so yeah, you can see the difference here. This is the R180 flange and this is the R160. So the splines and everything are all the same. You just gotta hit this with an impact, and this is all just splined on here. So this one got a little spot that was a little chewed up on the, see if I can find it there. I don't know how they got chewed up, but I might have to hammer it on, but we'll just hit that with an impact. I think the torque spec is I want to say it's 140 foot-pounds, but it's really difficult to get it to hold it still with that, and so usually I just impact them on. Never had a problem, so I'll put that guy on there and maybe clean this thing before we put it in, and it's going in. There it is, just the impact gun that thing on there until it stopped. I'm going to save this guy in case I need to go to a bigger drive shaft yoke or something later on. If I end up breaking a drive shaft and getting a custom one made, then I can always put this back on. It's no big deal. So yeah, let's see if we can get this thing in the car. So I got this thing all cleaned up, but I realized that my axle seals are hard as a rock and one of the springs fell out, so it's not worth putting in and just having to change the axle seals once it's in there. So I'm just gonna have to wait, get some new axle seals, and then I can pop this guy in. But in the meantime, I can put my new diff mount bushing in there. So just slip those guys in there with some provided lube. I used all of it, probably too much, but I don't know. Let's put this guy in at least. So if you guys are wondering, you want to do this mod yourself, this is the brand. It's PowerFlex High Performance Polyurethane. That's the part number. It's technically for an Impreza, but early Impreza and Legacy rear diff mounts are the same. So yeah, let's put that guy in there. All right, so this guy just kind of slides up in here with these two 17mm bolts. Just like that, and then the diff actually mounts into this plate here, so like that. There we go. I'll tighten those guys up. Be ready for the diff to go in. Alright, we get our shifter installed. I just pulled out the airbag module and the automatic shifter. Got that stuff laying right there. So we'll run over to the 6-speed. I just pulled off the shifter. It came with a Cartboy short shifter, which is pretty nice. So I do have some bushings because they didn't get they still have OEM bushings in them. So I got the Cartboy shifter kit bushings, which replace the stay rod on both ends. So first thing is we need to get the Cartboy one. Get this guy installed in the car. And then that'll mount up the shifter inside there. You pop it in and put the cover on. I actually do have the gasket seal thing, so just gotta find some bolts for that. But first, we need to get this thing in there. Alright, so since this car is automatic, the little bolt holes have these little plugs in them. So you just have to pop these guys out. Oop, and then you got threaded holes here for your stay rod bushing. So these are real tricky to get in just because it's a pretty tight fit and these bushings are not very compliant. So I'm gonna need both hands for this, but it just goes in right there. All right, there it is. Polyurethane stay rod. It's all in there. So make sure to put some grease in here so it's not squeaky, and pop the shifter in. All right, I'm gonna slide this guy in here. Try to get that stay rod right there, down in there. I need two hands for this, hold on. So I made a mistake. That bushing was upside down, so it should look like that, so it's nice and straight. Where I had it flipped over before, so it won't fit unless you put it in there right. Now you can just slide this guy in there. That. Got our stay rod in there, so that'll hold it up. And then now we'll put that metal plate down on top of this, and we just need to find some bolts to hold this all in here and seal this up. Alright, this guy will slip in here like that. Found some of these screws here. Let's see if these fit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, and this should seal, you know, everything from the wet weather and all that shit. So I'm trying to get too much moisture in here. But really what I'm worried about is mice, because there's a ton of mice in this area. So trying to keep them out of here. But yeah, let me put these on here and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, there it is. So put our shift knob on here if we want. Once we put the trans in, you know, we'll get all this hooked up and put the center console on and get the boot and all that stuff figured out. But yeah, there it is. Yeah, I couldn't resist. I had to throw the knob on there. See what it looks like. Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's a little top heavy right now because it's not connected to anything, but it should look something like that. I'm gonna take the STI boot and trim, and I'm gonna meld that onto the Legacy shifter trim piece on the center console. So another development, I got this knuckle all separated. The big lower bolt for the control arms was seized, so I had to cut that thing out of there. It's a huge pain, but it's off now, so it's ready to go on. Once I get some axle seals for this thing, the diff can go in. Then all this can kind of go back in together. I get to get all 4 wheels on it, but I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Fall into stuff. But yeah, so next time I'm hoping to get all the rear suspension. I might be getting some aluminum adjustable white line control arms for the rear, which I basically have to have because that's the only way to set up the alignment properly, is to have adjustable lower control arms. So we're still working on the brake lines, still going to be working on that. This tool does work, I suck at it, so I need to go and get some better fittings. I need a different T-piece and a few other things, but that'll all be for next time. So, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to follow along in the progress, like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.